What's going on, guys? Today's Wednesday and I'm doing it. I'm finally doing it. This is for you, Silvers. I'm doing the Brook vs. Cavendish versus battle. So before we get into this, I would like to make clear two different rules I have set up for this discussion. So on the side of Brook, there is a lot of unknown shit going on with both his devil fruit and his musical abilities, and mainly really what the combination of the two do. I don't really understand a lot of it. It seems honestly kind of similar to Conqueror's Hockey in a way where it's something that can be used to destroy a lot of people very quickly, but they kind of have to be weaker. Like, I can't imagine that he'd be able to put stronger people, like pretty much any of his crew members, to sleep in a battle. So, you know, that doesn't really have so much of an effect anyway. And yeah, I mean, there's just some weird things we've seen him able to do with his devil fruit. Some more obvious, like how he's able to detach his soul and go explore places with it, but that doesn't really help in combat anyway. But there's just a lot of other stuff that we don't really understand. Especially, a lot of people have been making theories about how he would actually be able to defeat Big Mom because of his interaction with souls. So for now, I will be throwing all of that kind of stuff out the window. I don't want to be making speculations based on stuff we don't really understand in the slightest. I'm just going to use what we have seen. And I think for the majority of the time, you know, with his devil fruit and how it works, it's not going to make much of a difference, because it's most certainly not supposed to be a combat-based fruit. If anything, the biggest combat bonus I think it gets is that it kind of makes him almost impossible to kill. I mean, you really need to pretty much, like, vaporize him to have him killed, since he can just regenerate his bones by drinking milk. And I think a lot of people think that's a gag, but not just has he done that so many times that that's not really, like, reasonable to believe, but we've now also seen Luffy do the exact same thing. And it was, like, pretty legit how it happened. I mean, it was, like, a big deal that he was missing his tooth for a while, and then he drinks some milk and boom, it's back. I don't really think that's a running gag anymore. I think that in terms of bones and whatnot in One Piece, milk actually has some kind of regenerative abilities in terms of bones. So yes, that is very important since he is mainly made of bones. And on the side of Cabbage, it's always hard to talk about his power level since he has his Hakuba form. So what I'm going to do here is, you know, we have Cabbage, and then we have Hakuba. But then we also saw he was able to use, like, a hybrid form where he is kind of in control temporarily. And that's kind of, you know, I think a fair thing to consider. It's similar to the moon forms as much as we've seen so far with Carrot, where it's kind, or even, I mean, even Gear 4th. Gear 4th is a lot longer than moon form. I think moon form is a better example because of his short time limit. But pretty much, I would, in a fight scenario, say he is able to use that for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, so while I'm not going to just say, oh no, this has to be just base Cabbage, it definitely can't just be, you know, Brook versus Hakuba, because that's not really Cabbage. And if he was actually able to even target Brook in that form, I have no idea. But I think he should be able to use his hybrid form for some duration of time, just like we'd have to consider moon form. Not always, though, because it has to be a full moon, but definitely Gear 4th for Luffy. Alright, so with that all being said, let's get right into this shit. Brook of the Straw Hats versus Cavendish of the Little Girl Pirates. And yeah, guys, I know, before I get, oh my god, Froggy! He's not the Little Girl Pirates! I know, okay, it was a joke, because it's like, it's Cabbage, okay. So now, Brook is very powerful, okay? Not including Jinbei. In my ranking of the Straw Hats video, I would put him in the middle tier, you know, the Monster Trio middle tier, then like the support tier. And I had him right after Robin being the strongest of the middle tier. And you know, they were very close. I even said in that video that they're very close. I think that Robin just has a slight advantage in AoE, and that's pretty much it. And that kind of holds true, but a lot of people are very upset about this. A lot of people think Brook is undeniably the strongest after the Monster Trio, and I'm not completely changing my mind, but I definitely see it as a possibility. So he is definitely up there. He's not quite making his way into the Monster Trio, but he's very strong. He's a very powerful member of the Straw Hats. A lot of people claim he is the fastest of the Straw Hats because of his, you know, cool ability where he just, like, walks past people. Not walking past them, of course, but he goes by them super quickly and they don't even know they've been cut. I mean, the fact that he can run on water, also have to keep in mind that he is made of bone, so it makes him a lot lighter, which makes it easier. I think he is incredibly fast. I think he is the second fastest person on the crew, maybe even third. I think it's the second if I had to pick. But, I'm thinking first we have Sanji, then Brook, and then it's between Brook and Luffy. Like, I think Luffy is third, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if in Gear second and fourth, definitely fourth, there's a chance that Luffy would be faster than Brook. And I know a lot of people probably are not going to be satisfied with this because they kind of make a point of Brook being super fast and whatnot. And while that is true, for one thing, he is still a member of the mid-tier. So I don't think he's really meant to be the fastest. I think that he is very fast, but you also have to consider, even though a point is made for Brook, in Whole Cake Island very recently, Sanji was pretty much teleporting. Not just was he able to dodge Katakuri's Jelly Bean, and obviously observation hockey does play a large factor in that, but when he was dealing with Oven, and he had to, I think it was Oven that he kicked, he was on the carriage that was carrying the cake, and then he just like kicks Oven, and nobody in the entire area had any idea what happened. It looked like Oven just got smacked by nothing, and that's why people are like, well, the people that were with Sanji were like, did he just like teleport? Like, what was that? So I mean, like, it's hard to say because to an extent it seems like they're both teleporting, but Sanji is a member of the Monster Trio, and I think the biggest advantage he has is his speed. So I think he would have to be the fastest, but that still does not mean that Brook is not super fast. I think Brook is super fast. We also actually saw something decent from him. In Zou, he was able to hold off Sheep's Head for a moment before Sanji came and completely annihilated him, of course. And I'm not saying that he necessarily would have won that battle, and I don't know how much we know about Sheep's Head, but the way I look at it, okay, is, so like in the Big Mom Pirates, we have Big Mom. And then we have the Sweet Commanders, the three strong, well, there were four, but now the three strongest commanders. And then there's the people right below them, the other commanders, I guess you could call, maybe the executives, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. They're labeled as like rooks and knights, bishops, just chess pieces, of course, that's what it's based off of. I wonder if there's pawns. I feel like maybe her shittier members of the crew are pawns, like everyone who's not a commander. That's funny. But anyway, so that is like, I feel like it's a Yonko, and then the top commanders, in this case the Sweet Commanders, and then just the regular commanders, which in her case is like the knights and rooks, the chess pieces. And so in Kaido's crew, we have Kaido, and then the Calamities. Okay, we only know Jack for now, but either way, he's a Calamity. And then the people directly below him, the people that like, I don't know, there's no one in between, that would be like commanders, I suppose. And in Zou, we didn't really see too many examples of this. Like, not ones that are completely clear. I would say the closest is Sheep's Head, and maybe that woman he was with. And I think there was one other guy as well, but not the point. So I think that he would be like a third tier in a Yonko crew. So he's got to be decent. He's got to be similar like to Tamago. And I mean, I feel like Capone is stronger than they want us to believe, but still, those guys have like 300 million bounties. So if Brook was a captain or a member of a Yonko crew, I think he would definitely have a lot higher of a bounty, and he's able to hold this guy off. He seemed to be doing pretty well against him. I think that's super important. Now, talking about Cabbage, I think he is very well-rounded, very strong in pretty much all stats. We don't really know if he has Haki, which is kind of important, unfortunately. I guess we just have to assume for now he doesn't since we haven't seen it, but I think he still is very strong in all, like, basic kind of stats, like strength, speed. He's very powerful. And honestly, I don't think there's too much to say about him. I mean, he was able to do a decent amount of damage to Qin Zhao. Not really damage, but he was able to, hold off for some degree of time. He was able to make some kind of interesting feats against him. So I think he's definitely decent. I think it's a real battle we're going to have here with Brook. So getting into a battle with Brook here, here's how I think it's going to go down, alright? So I think we have to consider that Brook probably doesn't have nearly as much defensive capabilities as most people. Like, he's a lot more fragile, since we have not seen he's able to use armament hockey, and I'm pretty sure we can assume that he doesn't have it. In fact, I can almost confirm that. So anytime Cabbage is able to land a hit on him, it's probably going to be pretty devastating. He might be chopped directly in half, and he should be able to repair himself to an extent, but Cabbage isn't just going to allow him to do this, right? Like, it could all be over in just one hit for Brook. Of course, Brook is very hard to hit. He's very fast. I think he is decently faster than Cabbage, but that still is very important to consider, especially because we do not know how much stamina Brook has. It might not be a ridiculous amount, where I think Cabbage is very well-rounded. He probably has a significant amount of stamina. So now, considering all of this, and I think this is going to be very disappointing to you guys, but I think this would actually be a very short battle. I don't think it would be long and drawn out at all, because I think that they both have to kind of use like an execution, assassination type of battle strategy, because Brook, of course, cannot take that much damage, and on the Cabbage side, I guess, Brook just kind of is an assassin. Just because of that, generally speaking. So, how I think this would go down really is, they would just be doing a little bit of brawling out. Brook might have some kind of edge on Cabbage. I think in base form, Brook does have a little bit of an advantage. I don't really think he's going to be taking much damage from Cabbage because of his ridiculous amounts of speed, his very good swordsmanship. He might even be able to slow down Cabbage to some extent if they make contact with swords. Not exactly 100% sure on that works, but I think he would definitely have the advantage. He might be able to land some blows. He's very fucking fast. It's very hard to hit him. However, here is the problem. Since I did say I was going to include hybrid Cabbage, which I think is totally reasonable, I think that Brook would pretty much get one-shotted. Okay, so here's the thing. When Hakuba faced Dellinger, Dellinger is a member of the Don Quixote Pirates. He was one of the commanders, and I think he was actually one of the stronger of them, okay? He was shown to take down his opponent by just pretty much overwhelming them with ridiculous amounts of speed. And despite this, Hakuba, not hybrid form, regular Hakuba was able to one-shot Dellinger, okay? And this guy is not like a top executive or anything, but I think he might have actually been the strongest executive who wasn't a top one. I think he was very powerful, and he was known for his ridiculous amounts of speed, and Hakuba was so fast that he was able to instantly just nullify that. He just one-shotted him. I mean, that's completely ridiculous. Dellinger, for all we know, could have actually been even faster than Brook. Probably not, but not the point. He one-shotted him. So if we have hybrid form, which I assume pretty much has all the strengths of Hakuba for that short period of time, I mean, if one shot's not enough to take down Brook, maybe just a few. Like, I just don't think it's going to be that difficult for him. I think you'd be able to end him in that 30 seconds to a minute. I think it would just be over for Brook, honestly. I don't know if there's any kind of drawbacks for Cabbage using that form. It doesn't seem like there was, so I think he would definitely just be able to use it. He would see, he's like, alright, I'm not really getting anywhere. I guess I'm just going to have to use this, and boom. He'd use his hybrid form, and I think Brook would be done for. So, yeah, I know that might be a little bit disappointing, especially with all, like, the talk I had before this actual versus battle part that I did of this video. Hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed all the explanations I gave at the beginning. Keep in mind, I still do think that Brook is super, super powerful, okay? I think that he actually got really countered in this scenario because he is super fast. That's like his biggest strength. And Hakuba hybrid form would actually just be a little bit faster, I would say, which sucks for him, okay? And then there's the fact that he kind of is just like an assassin type, you know? He cannot withstand that much damage, and just having that big speed advantage on him, it would end him. I really think he got countered in this one huge, just like how Robin, on the other hand, quite ironically since what I was talking about earlier in this video, completely countered Hakuba. He wasn't able to do anything against her. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember to leave me a comment, letting me know what you thought about this video. If it was kind of stupid how the actual battle portion was way too short, I mean, I don't really know what else to do. I really think that's how it would go down, and I don't know how to just drag it out for you guys, so I do apologize. Hopefully my explanations in the beginning were not too boring for you. Make sure to let me know other content you'd like to see in the future, different ideas you'd like me to put out there. I hope you guys have an excellent day, and I'll talk to you guys on Friday.